have an amazing conversation in store for you all. And that's on Agile leadership. Sounds interesting? We have. So, to store and cultivating managerial excellence for high velocity decision making. Dive into the nuances of Agile leadership with Sandhya Prabhakar and Ramya Nair. So, once again, give a round of applause to the speakers, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking your time this afternoon to be here today. I'm Sandhya Prabhakar. I come with 19 years of experience in industry. In my current role, I lead the cybersecurity team for Boeing India. And I'm very passionate about advocating, advancing women in tech. So as part of this, I also support an organization or a community called Women in Cloud. I'm the brand ambassador of this organization, where our focus area is basically to create 1 billion economic access for women in tech. That's what we try to achieve through our goals.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Ramya Mohan Nair. I am a Senior Manager Product Engineering in Siemens currently. Before this, I have worked for other semiconductor giants like Qualcomm and Wipro. I have always been in a very high-core technical role and also managing different teams of different calibers, cross-functional as well as cross-cultural. Diversity and inclusion has always been my passion, even from the beginning of my career. And I've always been involved with D&I activities, different conferences I have spoken at. I have around 18 years of experience, which is break-free, without any breaks as such. And that has been a boon, I think, because many of us do not have that luck where without a break they can continue for 19 years straight. Why I say this is many women I have seen quit mid-career because of multiple life situations that happen to them. So statistics say that in technical companies, if there are around 10,000 employees, 40% are at, women are at internship, then going on to a 30% at entry-level jobs, and drops down to around 10% and even lesser for leadership positions. So women leaders are very, very scarce in our industry as well as all the other industries as such. My mother has always been my inspiration. My mother retired at the age of 60 after 40 years of experience in armed forces. She retired as a gazetted officer, as an ADAM officer, and that was one of the highest positions at that time, which was held by a woman. So I have seen her growing up, I've seen her juggle a lot of things, take care of me, take care of my brother, cook, clean, and also do very well at her job. So when I was struggling as a new mother, I asked my mom, was it easy? And she said, not at all. It was never easy. Not even, a single day is easy. But you go nevertheless. So she told me this incident that happened when I was a little girl. I was around 2 years old, and my brother was around 6 years old, and I was running very high fever. So she had to go to the office and write an application letter and submit it. That is how it used to be back then. There were no emails and Teams like how they have right now. So it was much more difficult back then. And there was no nanny that day. She was on leave or something, and my dad was posted elsewhere. So she had to actually leave my brother and me alone at home and walk to the office, write this application letter, submit it, and come back. And those 30 minutes, she said, was one of the most 30 agonizing minutes in her life, where she decided that from tomorrow I'm quitting, no matter what, I don't care. I'm going to be with my kids, and I'm not going to go through this situation anymore. Then I asked her what happened, because obviously that didn't happen. So she told me that next day, very coolly she's telling me that it was a new day. It was next day you didn't had fever. Your brother was okay. He went to school, and the nanny came. So I went to office, right? So she didn't quit. So she told me that quitting should not be an option. You should not look at your work as an option. You should look at your career as something that you want to pursue no matter what. And that stuck to me a lot, Sadhya, throughout my career.
Absolutely. That's such an inspiration. So I think we have had a lot of mothers, yourself, mother-in-laws, sisters, siblings, everybody going through this phase in life. And what Ramya just said, like, quitting definitely should not be an option. I think that's true. So, but despite all of this progress that we see in the industry, I still feel women at leadership roles are underrepresented,
Yes,
right? Absolutely. And I think some of the reasons that why we see this is basically, I think, the barriers that we have at organizational levels. And also, I think some of it comes with cultural representation where you are from, basically, as well as the cultural aspects of organizations as well, right? But unfortunately, I think the role models that we look up to are also less in the industry. I think that's another reason that I often hear when I talk to young leaders who are, budding leaders who are really looking up to people and looking at leadership roles. I think one of the reasons, major reasons that we see is, also from the culture background. People think that women cannot do two jobs. Like, she can't do things at home and at work. But that is such a biased mindset. I think it all boils down to the mindset of people and how we address these at a younger stage and, help people to come out of it. That is what I feel. Your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, very, very correct, Sandhya. So I think for women, agile leadership becomes extremely important. It is, again, not an option.
Yeah.
When I say agile leadership, now with my mother's example, you have seen that even though she did not know this term back then and it was not coined or celebrated, this was agile leadership. This was something that you adapt to,
Correct.
you change according to the situation, the adversity, and you work well through it. So one of the main core concepts which would lead to agile leadership is agile mindset. And what do we mean by agile mindset? Is that you have to be open to the idea of change and adversity. You cannot think that with a set rule will work for every day or for every team or for all of your team members. Now, one example would be that if you are one thing is that everybody would agree that all managers are not leaders, right? There are only a few managers who actually are true leaders, and you will see these very good qualities which make them good leaders, and that usually is, what is agile leadership all about. For example, in a team, you cannot give freedom equally to all team members. If you have different type of experience in the team, say that you have somebody with a junior experience level and you give them a lot of freedom to make the decisions and work according to their wish, it becomes difficult for them. They need direction. They, feel lost sometimes.
Absolutely.
And then feel demotivated and then eventually leave. And if you don't give freedom to the people who are more experienced, then they feel, frustrated that, I'm not able to do the work the way I want to. So you have to always adapt and change, and then you have to give a different type of freedom across your team to the different team members who need that. And you need to understand that, right? So for that, you need a very positive mindset. When talking about positive mindset, I definitely have to talk about the positive inner voice that we have. All of us have a positive inner voice inside us, right? So, like Sandhya, you correctly said that we need mentors and mentorship all around us, but not everybody is fortunate to have that mentorship around. Sometimes you don't have mentors, but you can always look inside yourself and try to find that positive attitude inner voice which tells you that any challenge can be an opportunity and you can actually change it into an opportunity. You can take it up, you can look at it as something where you can prove yourself rather than looking at it like a difficulty and I have to quit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are a few other factors when it comes to agile leadership. I would like to highlight probably empowerment as one of the factor.
Definitely.
I think that's one of the key principles for an agile leader to look at. So when we talk about empowerment, I feel it's not just empowering the individuals, it's going to be like a team effort where they are working towards building a delegating authority. Basically, that comes with trust, right? So when you start trusting people, I mean, you're not looking at the superiority complex, you're looking at the team as your group where they are driving towards the success of your goals as a leader, right? So I think empowerment comes with trust, delegating authority, allowing them to make decisions. Sometimes people do fail, but that should not be the cause for
Yes, yes.
really making some tough decisions at that point. I think that is where people learn. So I think those are some of the things that I want to highlight when it comes to empowerment. But also, I think the other factor, while we were talking, the other factor is collaboration. And when it comes to collaboration, I think giving or creating opportunities where you have cross-functional teams learning with each other.
Yes, absolutely.
And whether it's technology or any skill, it comes down to skill development. And working towards those would definitely help people to thrive to success. And I think those are some of the things that I wanted to highlight on the agile leadership where we would like to
yes,
focus.
definitely,
Yeah.
Sandhya. And I also feel that being a good leader or being an agile leader is not something that you do once you become a leader or once you become a manager. It is something that you have to start early with. Even when you are, just a member of your team, it's important to, build habits which would take you there. Build habits like being excellent at your job. For sure, you will all agree that if you are excellent at what you do, people would always remember you, right? You will always stand out.
Yeah.
So you should not look at a job, a small or big. You should always give your 100% to what you're doing and be excellent at it. So that is something that you definitely have to do if you want to build, yourself into an agile leader in the due course of time. Another thing that is very important is being an inspiration to others as well. Again, it is not something that you need to do once you reach a pedestal.
Correct.
You do not need a pedestal to being an inspiration. Just like how my mother was an inspiration to me, or just like maybe I am an inspiration to, even the house helps who are at home, right? You don't need a pedestal. You can always set an example by conducting yourself in the way that you would want the leader to conduct you.
Probably showing through small gestures that would make them realize.
Yes, yes,
Right?
exactly. So that is very important, and for that, it is a day-to-day thing. It is not something that you need to do when you reach there. So I would really suggest if you are, early in your early stages of your career or in your mid career levels, change your habits. Look at what are the things that you look up to in the leader, and try to cultivate those habits in yourself early on.
Yeah, I think the two important highlights or insights of what we shared today, one is agile, the other one is women leadership. I think I would say there is a common baseline or a common principle that comes together for both. One is the power of believing in things, as you rightly mentioned. And I think adaptability is another factor that
Absolutely.
definitely allows us to look at things differently in the early stage as well as you grow up the ladder in the career. And I think being inclusive is another thing that I want to highlight when it comes to agile leadership. I think that's key
Yes,
factor
it's
and that's
key,
very important for
definitely.
anybody. And I think those are some of the things that I wanted to highlight. Yeah.
Being inclusive is something that, again, in the course of my career, I have gone through the different phases of my life and understood that, when you are in that particular situation where you have to take a decision to include somebody,
Yeah.
um, you have to be extremely open-minded for that.
Correct.
When you are in the other side of the chair, that is when you understand that, there are very sane decisions that have to be made. For example, when somebody is coming back from maternity leave, when somebody is,
Absolutely. Being
needing,
mindful about
being mindful, right?
situation.
Yes. So the emotional intelligence is
Correct.
extremely important there,
Yeah.
and the EQ factor plays a big role. So for that also, it is important that you cultivate that in yourself, and you look at it like something that you would encourage even when you become a manager, even when you are at a stage where you have a choice to be made, and that choice can include, a decision which is backed with empathy.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Sandhya, would you like to, collectively tell us what are the main few factors before we wind down?
I think one thing when it comes to women leadership, I feel is it's not just about addressing the disparity, it's also about creating equal opportunities. I think that's the key when we look at bringing in more women leaders into the industry.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And like I told you in the beginning, what my mother said, that not to look at
correct.
this as an option
Yeah, to
and look
quit.
at it as something that you need to do. It's something that you need to have in your life. The moment that perspective changes, every hurdle, everything that you face at work or otherwise, because unlike men, we have many challenges in our personal lives as well that we face, and it becomes hurdles in our professional life.
Yeah.
In usually a man's life, even if they have some personal issues, it doesn't become a hurdle in their professional life.
They can easily walk out and
Exactly.
focus on things, but for us, changing hats and working on things is something
Yes,
that we get
yes.
adapted to.
And that I think is because they don't consider it as an option.
Yes,
They consider it as part of their life, a main part of,
right.
a highlight of their life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so with that, we would like to
Thank
close
you.
today. Thanks a lot for being
Yes.
such a great
Thank
audience.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that inspiring session, and it was real life stories. So, to present a token of gratitude from our side, I call upon Ruchi. So, Ruchi, please. So, once again, give a round of applause to this inspiring real life stories for us. Let's have a happy frame. We'll have a photo session. Yeah. Thank you so much.